Remember this? A hammer project? Couple more of them here. Well, these two need something done. The handle needs to be bigger because I find myself gravitating to this hammer. I really like using it. This one's not bad either, but it's nothing like using my Sears. I really like vintage tools, and I have more that I'm going to be sharing along the way here that will be tweaking to get them back to some good usable tools. But I think I'm going to start with this one since I keep gravitating to using it. I really like it. And we're going to wrap this handle. And I'm going to do just some, we'll have to scuff it up because it's got a finish on it. And we'll glue it and stitch it. And make it part of the workforce here in the FatMan leather shop. The handle's attached not as well as I'd hoped. We'll see if we can do something about that. It's got a little wobble to it. See what we can do there. And go from there. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. I'm going to cut a piece of leather to go on the handle. And we'll get after it. Alright, this handle is pretty much the same diameter going all the way up. But I'm going to take a couple of different measurements. I'm going to take one right here. Now this is a piece of this leather that I'm going to use, this calf. And I just cut a strip off it. So I squared up an edge at the same time. And I want to go around. And I want to take, let's use a darker pen here, which you'll be able to see. I'm going to make a mark where it comes to, so I have a length. Then I'll go up a little farther here and do the same thing. And that comes up a little bit shorter. So I'm going to try one more here and try it one more time. That was a little off. That or it's just a little thicker down towards the bottom here. Oh, that was a little off. That's okay. So I'm just a little off. Just a tad. So the two marks that are close to each other there is where I'm at. So I may pick a spot like in between and work with that. I need to know a measurement of how far I want to go on the handle. So I'm going to take and kind of get a measurement of my hand. I get about 4 inches across my hand. So if I close my hand, I'd maybe 4.5. So I'm going to go, if I'm holding the hammer and I try to get one this way, about 4.5 inches should do it. I might go 4 3/4. So apparently I just ran out of memory. Don't know exactly where it cut off. I have squared this end and this side are square to each other. So I've got one 90-degree end. That's the way I want it. Now I'm going to cut to length. And I said before I'm going to go 4 3/4. I measured across my hand while I was holding the hammer. And I needed about 4.5 inches as I measured this way. So holding it, about 4.5 inches is plenty. I wanted to go 4 3/4 just for a little bit extra. So this end is square. So I want to go from this end, I want to go to 4 3/4 inches to get that measurement. Excuse me, this is my square end. Sorry about that. So I'm going to go and just go to 4 3/4, line that mark up here, and keep everything square against my ruler. And then I can just make my cut. Now I just need to figure out my width that I measured by wrapping this. We just wrapped around in a couple of different places and marked it. So the two marks that are close are the two marks that I'm going to go off of. If I use the closer of the shorter of the two marks going this way, that's probably going to be my best bet. But I'm going to go a little long on that one, and I'm going to have to be directional on this. So I'm just going to mark an arrow and put top so that that end goes to the head. I'm still going to pick a spot kind of in between, and that's going to be my measurement. And that's quite nicely 2 3/4 inches. Now this should, by all rights, wrap right around here nicely and meet in the middle. And it does appear that it's going to do that nicely. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to glue this on, and I'm going to use what I call a baseball stitch. This, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but I used a cross stitch on this. It's just X's. If you look at a baseball, it's more of a V, and I think it looks really cool. And that's what I'm going to use on this. Just kind of the V pattern, because I think it looks neat. When I punch my holes for that, I'm just going to take my wing dividers. I'm going to draw my stitch line at about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little closer on this, and then I'll punch my holes, but I want to make sure that I'm punching my holes in the right places all the way down, so that when I make my stitches, that the angles of the teeth are going in the same direction. So they'll go facing, I want them to face the split. I want them to face the edge. I'm going to go ahead and use these chisels. This is a .385 millimeter spacing. It is a French style, and I just think it's going to look a little nicer. I can barely see my line, but that's okay. I don't need to see that much of it. And this should wind up right on the money at the end there. So what I want to do right now is I want to kind of get this down here, and I want to see if my holes are lining up, and they are. So I just want to make sure that everything's going to line up. And you can see that the holes are angled in the opposite direction of each other. And that will help, and you'll see that when we get to stitching this up. So I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to finish these all the way to the end, and then we'll get ready to glue it on. I screwed up the calf skin. I punched the holes. I was off when I punched the holes on one side. It happens. Can't use it. So I cut another piece. That was the last of my calf skin, by the way. So I cut another piece. This is some leftover from the Tootsie Tote. So the next step on the calf skin was, after the holes are punched, I draw a line down the center, and I will make a line down the center of the handle here. Now my handle, if you look at it this way, is slightly askew, which is fine. I'm not going to worry too much about it. So I need to figure out how much my handle is going to be covered here. So I'm going to start, quarter, maybe 3/8 of an inch up from the bottom. And I'll make a pencil mark. Yeah, you can see that. And then I'll make a pencil mark up at the top. Looks good. And I'm just going to use my piece of leather. Maybe. We might just freehand it here. I need to make a center line, so I'll kind of freehand it. So I don't know if you'll see it, but got a line down there. Nothing in the world says that line has to be absolutely perfect. So I'm going to try to lay my piece on here. Right on my line. And see that I can bring everything to meet. Right up here. And once I've got it all to meet, I'm going to draw the line around it. While I'm holding that, I'm going to try to stretch it up here and do the same. Roughly the same anyway. It might be a little bit off, and we're going to try to correct that when we sew it on. But I just need to get a rough idea where everything is at, so that when I start to, we need to sand some of, there's a finish on this handle, and I need to sand that off. So I need an area that I'm going to be sanding, or at least scuff it up good. So I got a line around here and a line around here. What do I got? There's some 220. We just want to scuff it up good. Better yet, we'll use this. So I'm just going to go ahead, scuff all this up, and we'll use some contact cement. I will put probably 2 coats of contact cement on this piece of leather, and just one on the handle here. It shouldn't take any more than that. This is a 120 grit. I just want to scuff this up good so I got something for the glue to bite into. And I'll be back as soon as I got that sanded. Well, do my best to keep this in, so you guys can see what I'm doing. I got my line here and my line here. And I want my stitching to be on the back side, so the stitching will be on this side. My glue is pretty tacky, pretty much where I like it. And I'm just going to try to get my line, my center line here. I'm not trying to press it down tight yet. Just trying to line up that center line, which is kind of why I'm leaving it a little tacky, so if I do have to take it up, I can still do it. I want my corners to meet, and I didn't glue right up to the edge here because I still have to stitch, so it's laying down pretty good. I'm pretty pleased so far. Now if I can remember, the thread that I'm going to use is some not very good thread. It's just some very waxy thread that I've had kicking around the shop here for a while. I want to get to see which way my holes are angled. I can't really see it in this leather because the leather closes up real quick. This is a chrome tanned leather. So my holes are angled this way. The other side should be angled the same way. Yep. So I think I need to start from this end. And the first one I'm just going to go around quick here. And I may have to change my thread idea too. Okay, I traded it out to my regular 1mm. I went with a 1mm, a little heavier than what I probably should use, but it'll go through here much better than that other stuff. So I'm just gonna pull that through. I'm not going to pull it super tight yet because I still need to be able to manipulate the other side. I'm just going to go under, find my hole, come through. I'm going to kind of pull it a little snug. Now my holes are angling this way, So when I pull my thread, I'm going to pull it that direction a little bit. But when I make the next stitch, it's going to do that for me. So we'll just go through, find our hole again. Still got to fight with it a little bit, but not nearly as much as the last one. And that thread, this is some stuff that I got from Tandy years ago. I've had it for 5 or 6 years. It doesn't do me much good anymore. I'm just going to pull it out a little bit. And then the one that I first came in with, I'm going to pull that down. Pull the other one down. You can pull them both down at the same time if you want to. And I'll come in from the other side again. So I'll zoom in here a little bit. I'm doing my best to hold this. I'm not set up to do this kind of thing normally, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit. So I always start from one side, always from the same side. Might have to find that hole from this side. There it is. Easy to find it from that side. Just pull her down there snug. Not pulling super tight. And if you look at a baseball, it's always the same side is always going over the top. So that's why we want to always start from one side. And it doesn't necessarily matter which side. I don't know why it's so hard to find that hole from that side sometimes. And there it is. Poke right into it from the one side, not from the other. I'm just kind of laying it in there with my thumbs and fingers. This time I'm going to play the game. I'm just going to find that hole. Make sure you have plenty of thread before you start on a project like this, because the last thing you want to do is run out. I'm at my last hole. I'm just going to finish that off. I'll give that my little tug there. And then I'm going to take this one, come across, and come under here, and I want that to come out underneath. And I'm going to do the same from the other side. We'll just give everything a nice pull tight. So we have it like, hope you can see this. I can't see in my viewfinder, so we just have it this way. And now, simple, well, it's easier to tie a square knot to get rid of the needles. So I'm just going to go, it doesn't matter if you go left or right over first. So I'm going with my right over my left, just like a regular old granny knot. Pull it down tight. And now you go the opposite. So I go my left over my right. And pull that down. And that's a square knot. There's nothing to them. Grab a blade. And cut it off. When we zoom it out, we'll take a good better look at it. There you go. I call it a baseball stitch. It probably has another name, but that's all I've ever known it as. It is the same style of stitch that you see on a baseball. That's why I call it that. It's pretty cool. It adds a little thickness to the handle, makes it a little more comfortable to hang on to. So there you go. I'll leave a link to this hammer and a link to the video where we refurbished it. Well, we didn't refurbish it. It was a new hammer. But we made it more acceptable for leathercraft. So I will leave those links somewhere up above, around somewhere. The link to the hammer will be in the description. It will be an affiliate link. And I will leave another link to the whole store, so you can check out everything that I have in my Amazon store. Anything purchased through there helps out the channel. With that being said, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button, I appreciate it. Drop a comment down below. Check out some of my other videos. And y'all stay safe. God bless. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.